Hey, and welcome to The Explainer. You know, in the world of law, words are, well, they're everything. The tiny difference between two words can mean the difference between a life sentence and walking free. Today, we're going to decode those fine lines.
So let me ask you something right off the bat. Kidnapping and abduction. We hear those words all the time, right? Sometimes used for the exact same thing, but legally, oh, they are worlds apart. And by the end of this, you'll know exactly why.
All right, so here's our roadmap. We're going to look at three key areas. We'll start with crimes that take away your personal freedom, then we'll level up to harm and homicide, and finally, we'll zoom out to look at crimes that attack the whole system.
All right, Section 1, personal liberty on the line. Let's get into what happens when that basic, fundamental right to just move around gets taken away.
Okay, so let's break this down. The difference here is all about direction versus location. Think of it like this. Wrongful restraint is like someone blocking a doorway. You can't go that way, but you can still move around the rest of the room. Wrongful confinement? That's when they lock the door. You're trapped inside that room. One blocks a path, the other blocks every single escape route.
Okay, so building on that idea of restricting liberty, let's tackle that big one we started with. This is where those little legal details become absolutely crucial.
So, kidnapping versus abduction. The legal lines here are incredibly sharp. First, look at the victim. For kidnapping, it has to be a minor or someone of unsound mind, taken without their guardian's okay. Their vulnerability is key. Abduction, though, can happen to anyone, and it's done by force or by tricking them. But the real game changer, that's in the punishment.
And there it is. The whole thing boils down to intent. Kidnapping a minor is a crime, full stop. But abduction, that only becomes a punishable crime when it's done for some other evil reason, like for ransom or to commit some other offense. Without that extra criminal goal, the act itself isn't what's punished. It really is all about the why.
Section 2, from harm to homicide. All right, we're raising the stakes now. We're moving from just restricting freedom to causing actual physical injury and even death. And here, that idea of intent, it becomes even more important.
So before we even talk about death, the law has a special category for really serious injuries. It's not just getting hurt, it's called grievous hurt. And the definition is specific. We're talking about damage that's either permanent or puts your life in danger.
So what actually counts as grievous? Well, the law is super clear on this. It includes things like permanently losing your sight or hearing, losing a limb, or a really bad fracture or dislocation. But it also has this critical catch-all at the end, any injury that endangers a person's life. That covers all kinds of serious trauma.
And that brings us to the ultimate harm. When someone's actions lead to another person's death, the entire legal system zooms in, laser-focused, on the mind of the person responsible. What did they intend? What did they know was going to happen?
Now, this might be the most misunderstood distinction in criminal law. The easiest way to think about it is like this. Culpable homicide is a giant umbrella term for causing a death. Any illegal killing falls under it. Murder is a very specific, more serious kind of storm under that big umbrella. So all murders are culpable homicides, but not all culpable homicides are murder.
So really, it all comes down to this. To call it murder, you have to prove a higher level of intent and knowledge. Did the person actually mean to cause death? Or did they know their actions were so incredibly dangerous that death was almost a guarantee? That specific state of mind is what elevates a killing to murder.
All right, Section 3, crimes against the system.
For our last part, let's zoom all the way out and look at crimes that aren't just against one person, but threaten the very fabric of society.
First up, organized crime. What makes this different from just a random robbery? Well, it's right there in the name, organization. These aren't just one-off crimes. We're talking about planned, repeated illegal activities by a group that works like a business.
And it follows a pretty clear recipe. You form a structured group, you commit illegal acts over and over again, and, this is key, your main motive is almost always financial profit. You put those things together and you don't just have crime, you have a criminal enterprise.
Now let's contrast that with a terrorist act. It can also be violent, and it can be done by a group, but the motive is fundamentally different. This isn't about making money,
It's about using violence and fear to push a political or social agenda.
The legal line is drawn at the goal of the violence. Is the point to create mass panic? Is it to bully the government into doing something? Is it meant to totally disrupt public order? If the answer is yes, that's what turns an act of violence into an act of terrorism.
And what's more central to a society's system than its own democratic process? The law has a whole set of offenses designed specifically to protect our elections.
And these crimes attack democracy from all sides. You've got direct stuff, like bribing a voter or pretending to be someone else to cast an extra vote, but you also have bigger systemic attacks, like spreading lies to try and change the outcome, or even physically taking over a polling station, which is called booth capturing. Every single one is an attack on a free and fair election.
So, as we've seen, whether we're talking about someone's freedom, their life, or the health of a democracy, the specific words the law uses aren't just details. They are the tools for measuring guilt, harm, and intent. They are the code.
So now you know the code. How does that change how you see things? The next time you see these words in a headline, you'll understand the immense weight behind them. Thanks for watching The Explainer.